The more it mixes, the warmer it gets, and the warmer it gets, the more it mixes. But what does the warming mean for creatures that live in the Barents Sea? Lise Jorgensen says species like this brittle star could struggle to survive in warmer waters. These creatures may also be sensitive to warmth. It's a snail giving a piggyback to an anemone. This sea slug loves cold water too. So does this remarkable squid. If too many species are lost to the ecosystem, no one knows what will happen.
Everything is depending on each other. So if you bump the ecosystem in one place, there will be a cascade of effect all through the ecosystem.
This is a special part of the world where the sun's just returning after a 2-month
ocean research program. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr.
Part of the world where the sun's just returning after a 2-month absence. The profound changes here may be influencing the UK's weather. Scientists can't be sure yet, but they say they're struggling to keep up with the human impact on the planet. Roger Harrabin, BBC News, in the Norwegian Arctic.
Well, we can speak now to Dr. Youngjun Len, who is an oceanographer at Bangor University and the lead investigator from the Changing Arctic Ocean Research Programme. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Len, on BBC News. A worrying report there by Roger Harrabin. What is causing this effect, in your view?
Yeah, so that was a really nice study that you reported on by our Norwegian colleagues. And we published one at the similar time that showed that actually it's really the propagating signal that's coming up from the Atlantic Ocean, which provides a lot of the warm, salty water for the Barents Sea, as well as the high Arctic Ocean. And so that the character of the water coming into the Barents Sea has itself changed. It's got warmer and saltier.
And what's the cause of that?
Well, obviously, it's global warming, which is at the cause of that. The oceans in general have been storing all the excess heat that the atmosphere has stored as a result of the increasing greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. And a lot of the extra heat has gone into the oceans, and the oceans are transporting that around the globe, including up into the North Atlantic and the Barents Sea.
If this section of ocean is getting warmer, are there other sections that are getting colder?
Yeah, so it's not global warming in general is a globally averaged signal. So it's not to say that everywhere in the ocean we're getting warmer and everywhere in the ocean that sea level is rising. So if we look at projections of sea level change as well as heating in the ocean and sea surface temperature rise, these things are not spatially homogeneous, which is to mean the same everywhere. However, on average, in most parts of the global ocean, we are definitely getting big rises in temperature. And certainly anywhere around the coast of the UK and to the north of us, we are really experiencing warming seas as opposed to cooling seas.
Right. And what then is your biggest fear about this warning that we're getting?
Well, in particular for the Barents Sea, what this means in terms of losing the warming ocean means that not only can sea ice no longer start to form in the northern Barents Sea, even in the winter, but also that any ice that is imported from the north, that has formed to the north of the Barents Sea and is being brought into the Barents Sea, starts to melt before it gets past a certain point in the northern Barents Sea. So in other words, there's a bigger and ever-increasing area of the Barents Sea which is always open to the atmosphere, and which means, in that case, that the heat from that warmer Atlantic water is now available to be exchanged directly with the atmosphere. So that can destabilize atmospheric patterns, which then has an influence on weather in the northern European regions.
So that could affect us too here in the UK.
Exactly. That's right. That's what we're all speculating. That in fact, that over the last 5 to 10 years, we've seen more and more extreme weather, and that we believe is part of the ocean is part of that puzzle, because we think that the extra heat the ocean is providing to the atmosphere is helping to destabilize the polar vortex, which talks about the north-south gradient of temperature, which kind of in the atmosphere, which sort of keeps the jet stream stable and keeps the cold air to the north of us while we kind of experience the warmer mid-Atlantic atmospheres. But the destabilization of the jet stream means that this whole jet stream is getting wavier, and sometimes we get colder air, sometimes we get warmer air, which, you know, basically tells us that we're getting more variable weather, and as a result, probably more extreme events as well.
Your hand actions were very expressive there, Dr. Len, and helped me understand that. People will be listening to you and watching that report and thinking, what can be done in this very specific instance? Of course, we all know about the global challenge of trying to tackle climate change, but what about this?
In this specific instance, I think getting yourself educated will bring it home to you why it's so important to be concerned about the planet and to be concerned about how things are changing. I mean, I don't fear that my children will not see the Arctic that I have experienced as an oceanographer working up there, because I know they will not experience the Arctic I experienced. It will be different. So appreciate what we have now and work hard to consider what is important and what is worth saving.
That's a very sombre assessment. We're going to have to leave it there, I'm afraid. Dr. Len, Dr. Young Jern Len, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.